A very good day to you, Dr. Yap Nitai. Now we are going to present our assignment for phonetics and phonology entitled How Native Language Influences the Pronunciation of English Past Tense Among Malaysians. But before we go in deeper into the topic, I would like to introduce our group members who are Hanani binti Masaud, Nur Maisara binti Muhammad, Nur Syahirah binti Zulkifli, and Wan Alia Nabilah binti Wan Ruslan. The objective of our project is to identify how native language Bahasa Melayu influences the pronunciation of English past tense among Malaysians. The hypothesis that we drew out of before we carry out this project is that Malaysians, specifically Malays, are influenced by their native language and English words pronunciation. This is because in Malay language, words are pronounced by syllables.
Next, we proceed with the methodology. In this project, we are using opinion-based research method where an experiment is designed so the intentional data could be collected for analysis. First, we start by choosing and selecting 10 English past tense words that contain the ed accents. Next, a sample of 20 speakers in which their native language is Malay language are interviewed. They are required to pronounce every word by their own without any help from other resources such as the dictionary or other native speakers of English language. Every session is recorded and transcribed. Then the data is classified and charted accordingly into respective bars and characteristics. Lastly, the data is analyzed so we can see the final outcome of the project.
Next is the analysis. Based on the table, these are the results of the analysis of each speaker. As you can see, each person varies from one another. There are several that pronounce the words properly, and there are a number who don't.
I will continue with the findings. I will be explaining on the word climbed, planted, and wanted. So, based on the analysis that we have done, we have noticed that most of the Malays tend to omit the ed sound in the past tense word of climb. Out of 20 respondents, 13 of them, which is majority, pronounce it as climb, the root word. This is probably because they are lacking of confidence and they are afraid of making mistake when pronouncing the word climbed, in which they think they might pronounce it as climbed, so they decided to drop the ed sound and pronounce it as the root word. However, there is one respondent who pronounced it as climbed with the t sound. This is probably because the lacking of phonetic knowledge regarding the voiced and voiceless sound. As we know, the word climb is ending with voice sound, which is b. Therefore, following the voice assimilation rule, it should end with the instead of t for the past tense word. Only 5 persons managed to pronounce the word climbed correctly, and another one respondent pronounced the word climb as climbed, possibly because the influence of Malay language in which they pronounce the words by syllable. For the word planted, the majority of the respondents, that is 18 out of 20, pronounce it correctly. One of them pronounced it as plant without the t sound, and another one of them pronounced it as the root word plant without the ed sound. Next is wanted. This would also be pronounced correctly by most of the respondents that we have asked. 17 out of 20 pronounce it as wanted, while the other three said wanted, which is still correct and acceptable because they only pronounce it with the accent, which is British accent.
Next, moving on to the next word, we have the word took. The last consonant of the word is K and is voiceless, so the ED is pronounced as T. So from our findings, we can see that there are only 4 persons who pronounced the word correctly with the replacement of ED with a T sound. A total of 13 people, on the other hand, omitted the ED sound without replacing it with a T sound. One person pronounced the word as how it is spelled, chocolate. So we can conclude that the word it is pronounced chocolate because he is influenced by the native language. For the word kiss, it is similar to the word choke. The last consonant of the word is voiceless, so the ED is pronounced as T. 10 person actually pronounce it right with a T sound, while there's one person who pronounced it as how it is spelled, which is kissed. And it is strong, and I can also deduct from here that it is pronounced that way because he or she is influenced by the native language of where in Malay the word is pronounced as how it is spelled. Next, for the word frightened, the last letter of the word ends in a voice consonant. Therefore, the ED is pronounced like a D without creating another syllable. So, since the consonant is voiced, the ED is pronounced like a D without creating any syllable. 3% actually pronounced it correctly with a D sound, while other 10% omitted the sound and didn't even replace it with a D sound or a T sound. There's actually one person or two that pronounce the word with a T sound instead of a D, and it's wrong because the consonant is voiced. Therefore, it should be a D, not a T.
For the word lighted, most of our specimens said it correctly with a majority of 17 against 3. As you can see, most speakers are aware of the past tense sound in lighted. 3 of the speakers omitted the ED sound completely and pronounced it as light. Schwa insertion is used to the word lighted because a schwa is inserted before the d sound. For tasted, there are 3 varieties that the speakers tend to say. These are tasted, taste, and taste, with tasted being the majority with 16, whereas taste with 1 and taste with 3. 4 speakers omitted the past tense ed morpheme. This could be due to their fear of making mistakes when speaking in English. Tasted also use schwa insertion method when it becomes past tense.
Now, we will analyze the word hugged. There are 3 variations of the word spoken by the speakers, which are hugged, hugged, and hugged. This result shows that these speakers are aware of the past tense sound d. However, only 6 out of 20 are able to pronounce it properly. Meanwhile, due to the influence of their native tongue, they face difficulty to pronounce d right after the voice sound g. Thus, 13 out of 20 of them omit the d sound and simply say the present tense hug. On the other hand, 3 out of 20 of the respondents pronounce hugged as hugged, due to the confusion or unawareness of when to put d and when to put t. Moving on to the word grabbed, there are 4 variations of the word, which are grabbed, grab, grab it, and grabbed. Only 3 out of 20 spoke grabbed properly. Meanwhile, 14 out of 20 pronounce it as grabbed. This shows the same case as the pronunciation hug. And 50 out of 20 pronounce it as grabbed, which shows the same case as the pronunciation hugged. One of the respondents pronounced grabbed as grab it. This respondent shows that she is pronouncing it according to the spelling, which is how Malay language works.
We have reached towards the end of our presentation. So in conclusion, the hypothesis is not accepted
because most Malaysians know the rule of pronouncing the ED sound in English past tense words, but lack your knowledge of when to insert a schwa, when to pronounce the voice sound the, or when to pronounce the unvoiced t.